should have with the companies. So we're here to hear from the persons here to see exactly how much regulation or not, what they expect these technologies and these interactions to look like. And we're just basically here because we're at a critical juncture as it relates to the communication space. This is an incredible emerging series of technologies on this particular platform, and we want to hear about the public in terms of as it relates to what they want this thing we call the internet to look like.
Mm-hmm. What have you heard from the public, so far prior to this day, both inside and outside of Washington?
I've heard anywhere from keep your hands off of my internet to please, I believe in net neutrality principles and that we cannot let these big players control the internet. So you've got definitely two extreme thoughts patterns, and I suspect somewhere in the middle is probably where we need to be.
Mm-hmm. We've heard talk of potential Verizon
should have with the companies. So we're here to hear from the persons here to see exactly how much regulation or not, what they expect these technologies and these interactions to look like. And we're just basically here because we're at a critical juncture as it relates to the communication space. This is an incredible emerging series of technologies on this particular platform, and we want to hear about the public in terms of as it relates to what they want this thing we call the internet to look like.
Mm-hmm. What have you heard from the public, so far prior to this day, both inside and outside of Washington?
I've heard anywhere from keep your hands off of my internet to please, I believe in net neutrality principles and that we cannot let these big players control the internet. So you've got definitely two extreme thoughts patterns, and I suspect somewhere in the middle is probably where we need to be.
Mm-hmm. We've heard talk of a potential Verizon-Google merger. How likely is that, and what would that mean for the internet and for us as consumers using the internet?
Well, Verizon and Google have put forth an agreement of sort that they've come up with as it relates to how they see or how they feel this particular platform should be regulated. We need to have some more discussions about that. There are some things in that congressional proposal that I have issues with. If there's a section in there that talks about treating wireless differently. If you look at some of the latest stats from some of the Pew studies and from the Joint Center, they will tell you that especially in minority communities, that most minorities have used are very engaged as it relates to wireless handset devices, off the charts in terms of adoption. And if indeed what I read, that 20% of those who have these handheld devices use and access the internet solely from those handheld devices, then treating that particular platform differently is going to be problematic, because I don't know if they would have the same level of protections as persons who would use the internet from a wireline or wireline platform or from satellite. So those are the types of serious questions and engagement and conversations we need to have. Exactly how this space should be governed.
Is it a reasonable fear that those of us who blog and use the internet for our personal use, and also those of us in the independent media, who don't have perhaps the resources that an NBC or CBS or Fox News would, that we could be persecuted or would have to pay more for sound broadband if the chips fall in a different way?
Well, these are the types of conversations that we need to have. I am not an endorser of a two-tiered structure that would treat certain communities and certain persons of economic status different from the other. This is an incredible platform that, from my perspective, is about the last incredible frontier we have in terms of the communications space, at least from my present vantage point. So anything that would inhibit or anything that would stifle growth, participation, affordability, what have you, is going to be problematic from my vantage point.
Mm-hmm. We've seen nearly a clean slate of FCC commissioners under President Obama. What is President Obama's view on the internet, on net neutrality, compared to former President Bush?
Well, the president, as a candidate, as senator and a candidate, was clear on his endorsement of net neutrality principles. I have not heard that has changed in any way, shape, or form. So we are moving forward as it relates. We have a notice of inquiry that is open, that is seeking comment. The comment phase is closed, but you can always still engage as members of the public. But we are developing and moving from that vantage point toward as open and robust an infrastructure as possible, and that is not out of sync with President Obama's platform.
Mm-hmm. Your work in newspapers in South Carolina prior to being elected chairman, I mean, how important...
Let me correct right now. Commissioner, not chairman yet.
Not chairman.
But thank you. Speaking into existence, right?
I'm mixing up my
my
C words here.
There's certain things I don't have problems with, but I guess I better correct you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Your work in publishing and editing in South Carolina. What was the name of the newspaper, by the way?
It was called the Coastal Times newspaper.
Mm-hmm. How important was it there, to represent to represent views of all, represent views of minorities, represent views of those who perhaps don't own the media?
It was an incredible opportunity for me, and I like to think an enhancing opportunity for those persons in which I attempted to touch each and every week. It was a weekly newspaper. Mm-hmm. There are different, especially with the larger platforms, those big entities are almost trying to be a one-size-fits-all. Uh-huh. What the beauty of weekly newspapers, smaller community papers, and of course the internet will allow all of us to do is specialize, to hone in, to zoom in on individuals and communities and specific interests, and tell those stories in a more robust and fulfilling and a wide array of platforms. This will allow us to do that. So that's why I'm so passionate about the possibilities and the openness of this particular medium in which we speak, because it allows all persons, regardless of income, regardless of geography, regardless of nationality, to be able to have a voice, to have a space, to have the ability to express themselves. And that is why it's so important for us to keep this platform open.
Have you had any particular key, highlights or moments on the job so far where you've realized that you can really make a difference and fight for those who deserve standing up for?
I just left the Workforce Development Center here in this city, and I recognized and I saw persons literally from all walks of life benefiting from that one-stop shop. This is why I am so passionate about the things that we're speaking about this evening, about having an open platform, about being able to serve persons who have different needs and have different skill sets. You could specialize, you can hone in, you could address every single thing that either ails or what they need enhancements over. This platform allows for the most tailored of approaches. And it's just an incredible opportunity we have to get this thing right. And this is why we are here. We need to have these conversations. It is important for us to get this right, to have a platform that is open, that's affordable, that's available to all Americans.
Are any subsequent hearings planned for elsewhere in the United States?
I am hopeful. One of the things that we attempt to do whenever I am traveling, I am always open for these type of exchanges. So look for me in a city near you. And hopefully if there are any opportunities that you have that you think I should attend, but a phone call or a click of a mouse away.
Excellent. Thanks, Commissioner.
Thank you.
All right, we got to put up a banner real quick.